So Vergil Ortiz manages to stop Mean Machine within the 8th round. In the 8th round, he managed to score 4 knockdowns, and he managed to stop him just before the round ended. And it was quite an impressive showing, truth be told. I think early in the round, I think it was in the 2nd round or the 3rd round, Mean Machine managed to actually hurt Vergil Ortiz, and it looked like he staggered him and actually managed to make him go back a little bit. It was a very impressive, patient performance. He's very calculated, and it was beautiful the way he set up the knockdown. The way he set it up was through actually doing body shots. He hit numerous body shots on Mean Machine, and he managed to actually hurt him several times, and that was the beginning of the end. And then towards the last knockdown, he scored 4 knockdowns, but towards the last knockdown, he managed to clip him with a left hook, and he gave a massive flurry of punches, and he managed to actually stop him. Now, it was a very impressive performance in my opinion. I think it was very calculated, and he managed to one-up Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford, I believe, he stopped Mean Machine in the 9th round, while obviously Vergil Ortiz Jr. managed to stop him in the 8th round, so he managed to knock him down sooner. And on top of that, he didn't just stop him with one flurry of punches, he knocked him down 3-4 times, which is very impressive. So in my opinion, it's a very good fight for him. It was a good step up for him in terms of the opposition he's been facing up to this point. I think the management of Vergil Ortiz Jr. is very good in terms of giving him the right fights at the right times and making him grow as a fighter. I don't think they've stepped the foot wrong in terms of that. They've given him the right fights at the right times, and he's still very impressive. In terms of the way he looked, obviously managed to stop him in the 8th round, and I think he's got 18 wins now and 18 knockouts, which is hugely impressive when you take into account that he knocked out a dude that gave the current top 3 pound for pound fighter Terence Crawford a very good fight, and managed to actually arguably drop him as well. So this is a very good performance, and I was very impressed with how calculated and patient he is in the ring. The way he sets up punches, the way he keeps his hands up, the way he moves, the way he pierces fighters with their jab, very impressive. And I don't think there's a fighter in terms of a prospect that is as impressive as Vergil Ortiz now. Even though he's a very young fighter in terms of the amount of fights he's had only had 18 fights. He's got the poise of a fighter who's more calculated and who's had way more fights, like 30 fights. Like the way he's you've seen with certain punchers, they're very frantic and they're trying to get you out of there. Like, for example, if you look at like a Deontay Wilder, when he has an opponent hurt, he goes balls to the wall and he throws 20-30 punches, and he does miss a few of them, but he does land with a few and he knocks you out. But when you look at Vergil Ortiz, I think you can argue that he's probably one of the best finishers in the game at this point in time. In terms of being a puncher, he's one of the best finishers, because if you see, when he gets an opponent hurt, he never offloads on them immediately. He patiently breaks them down and then he stops them. He's not a fighter that's desperate to get you knocked out. He's a fighter that is very calculated and breaks you down step by step. And he breaks you down. He puts it on you, but he breaks you down step by step, and he sets up punches to the body quite impressively. So yeah, this is a very good performance, and in terms of only his 18th fight, he's managed to knock out someone who's on the level of Mean Machine. Is very impressive. So yeah, I'm looking forward to his next fight. He's definitely a prospect to keep your eyes out for. He's only 23, but he's got the poise of a fighter that's at least 10 years older. In terms of the way he carries himself, how comfortable he is in the ring, the way he stops opponents, all of that. I think he's got the poise of a fighter that's a lot more experienced than he actually is, even though he's only had 18 fights. So yeah, this is a very impressive performance, and I'm very much looking forward to his next fight. In terms of who I think he should fight next, I don't think he's ready for Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford's just on another level. I know I just said a minute ago that he's already won up to Terence Crawford, but I'm just referring to how quickly he's managed to stop one opponent. I'm not referring to him as a fighter. Like, Terence Crawford has accomplished a hell of a lot. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to both of these fighters maybe squaring off maybe several years from now. But right now, I don't think Vergil Ortiz is ready for Terence Crawford, but I still think he can have good step up fights. The point is, though, Obviously, he's won the WBO international title, so that means that in terms of his ranking, he might be ranked 2 or 3 to Terence Crawford's belt, which does look good, but unfortunately he puts him in a position where he's going to have to probably fight Crawford soon. I don't think he's ready for that smoke yet with Crawford. Crawford's just on a whole nother level, but I think it'll be interesting to see him against other opponents, like maybe like a Leonard Bundu, maybe like a Chris Algieri. Maybe just get a name on your record that a lot of people do know of, and I think it's possible for him to do it. So yeah, that's my opinion on how he looked in there. I think he looked very impressive. There was a point in the fight where he actually did get hurt, and Mean Machine almost he didn't stop him, but he almost knocked him down, I'd say. And at that point, I think Mean Machine is one of them opponents that can hurt anyone at any time. I mean, he almost dropped Terence Crawford, and now he's almost dropped Vergil Ortiz. In terms of where Mean Machine goes with his career, he's stuck in a bit of a weird place because he's lost to the best prospect in boxing at this point in time, which is obviously Vergil Ortiz Jr., but he's also lost to the one many people consider him the best fighter in the sport in Terence Crawford. So I think at this point in time, I think he should fight an opponent who is mid-tier. So he's not as good as Crawford, but he's not a prospect like Vergil Ortiz. Maybe someone in between them two levels, and I think that'll be good for his career. But in terms of Vergil Ortiz Jr., I think he's on the right track. I think the way they're managing his career is perfect. He's only 23, but he's got the poise of a fighter that's much older, and he's very calculated and patient. And there's one thing that's terrifying is when you see a puncher who's very explosive and he's wailing away and he's throwing punches. I feel like Vergil Ortiz is a puncher, but he's not a puncher in the same vein as a Mike Tyson, who when he's got you hurt he's trying to unload on you, or like a Deontay Wilder who unloads several punches on you when he sees you're hurt. He's a puncher on the same vein as a Gennady Golovkin. When he gets you hurt, he does unload on you, but he's very calculated and patient when he throws his punches. He never puts himself in harm's way. So yeah, I feel like Vergil Ortiz has got a lot going for him at this point in time, and I think the people that are managing his career are doing a very good job. And I think he's in that sweet spot. He's from Texas, so he's got the Texas market. He's obviously part of Golden Boy, and he's starting to gain a following. So it's a very impressive fighter to look out for. Obviously, he's got a very good amateur credential as well. He won the Junior Olympics. So I'm very much looking forward to his career, and I hope to see where he's at. So yeah, that's my opinion. Tell me your opinion. What do you think about him? What do you think about his performance? How do you think he did? And like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out.